On this episode today, I want to speak specifically to home healthcare operators and people who are in the very compassionate business of providing care to a lot of adults who have intelligence and emotional disabilities. Many of you went into your business from a perspective of wanting to be able to provide services to an otherwise uh, unattended to part of the population. But as any business, you also have to deal with taxes and every of what compliance means. And so that's the group of business owners I like to speak to. Now, many of you, because you run a very profitable business, you get blindsided at tax season when you have to pay quite a lot of money in taxes. Now, this is always a sticker shock to many people. And I want to address the issue about what is really not right with what you may be doing. Unfortunately, most of you are so focused on the service that you provide, you fail to understand there is the business side to the service. Tax preparation does not do any good to you. Tax prep is just simply some person taking all of the information of your financials when the tax year is over and feeding it into a tax software and gives you a result. Most likely that result may not be exactly what you want it to be because you have not done any tax planning. So tax preparation is simply an expense. It's something that does not give you any return on the money you pay to your preparer. On the other hand, what any business owner, especially those of you in the home healthcare space, should be doing is what we call tax planning. Tax planning is something that is very different from tax preparation. In fact, I always say tax planning is an investment, meaning you put in a seed that will begin to yield you multiples of the seed that you put in. When you are doing tax planning, you work in with a good tax advisor who truly understands your business, understands the intricacies of the laws and the deductions, understands the kind of structure that better suits your business. And so all through the year, you are in constant touch and communication with your advisor. You're making real-time planning. It's like if you're driving on a freeway, you drive according to the speed limit, you drive according to the condition of the road and stuff like that. That's exactly the same thing with tax planning. Tax planning is something that you are constantly doing all through the year. And it's an investment because what it does for you is overall, at the end of the day, the whole idea for you should be to put yourself in a position where legally, ethically, and morally, you are not paying more taxes than it's required of you, knowing that at the end of the tax year, you can go to sleep knowing even if there is an audit, you're going to come through from that audit without any negative adjustment of additional taxes on you. That's what tax planning is about. It's planning plus implementation that gives you the desired results that you as the business owner is seeking to achieve from the very beginning. Yes, one thing to plan, but when you plan, you also have to implement and execute on the plan. And so that's the reason why it's so critical that you are working with a good tax advisor. There are just so many professionals out there. All they are doing is what we consider as just reactive. Okay? Reactive meaning they wait until the year is over. When the year is over, there is barely anything else you can do differently to change the outcome of what your taxes is going to be. All right, so that's not what you need. What you need is what I consider as a proactive tax advisor. A proactive tax advisor is actually challenging you as a business owner, asking you questions, forcing you to begin to think ahead, and also be the one that is bringing to you the kind of strategic advice to help you lower your taxes legally. In fact, when it comes to taxes, there isn't any reason to play games with your taxes because the tax code is just a whole bunch of incentive that has been given to business owners like you to help you reduce your taxes. And that's why we always say if you want to legally change your taxes, then you have to also know how to legally change your facts. Okay. Now, I'll give one or two examples very quickly. I still see some home healthcare business owners having businesses that are in the millions of dollars of gross revenue. But I'm very surprised to see them still running their business as an LLC that files taxes as a single member or what we call a disregarded entity. And too many times when you ask them that, all they say is that, oh, their tax preparer said that's the way to do it, just keep it simple. But the reality is, what is a good thing about simplicity if you are giving away more than $100,000 or $200,000 every year because you want to keep your stuff simple? Okay, so I really want to say you must be in a position to be able to do strategic planning, allow yourself to make the decisions you need to make, put yourself in a position to get to the kind of outcome you want to get to. For many of you, you're doing an awesome job caring for adults with disabilities. And it will be a great thing to put yourself in a position where not only are you doing a good job, but you keep more of the money that you generate from the business to help you continue to further your mission. Now, if you've heard me this day and you suspect or you kind of feel like you may be in that category of people who are already overpaying, and yes, for many business owners, this is exactly their situation. They've been overpaying taxes for the last 5 to 8 or 10 years, just depending on how long they've been in business. If you feel like you're paying more than your fair share, if you feel like something is just not right, with your accountant constantly telling you you cannot do this or don't do this, then I want to suggest to you, give us a call, send us an email. You can reach us at taxes@smithcpa.com, and we will take a no obligation look at your last 2 years tax return. In addition to that, we will be able to tell you what we think your tax figures could have looked like if you had been working with us for those 2 years taxes that you give to us. And then we allow you make your decision. But more than that, we'll show you some of the high level steps that we can use to bring you to a better place.